That on the video.
No, heavens, no.
So, hello everybody. This is Hayley and Brian for our weekly Are You Happy Without the Movie? And we just started talking about, Brian was mentioning that you feel that the more personal your writing is, the more it connects with people. So, I wanted to invite you to carry on with that stream of thought.
Yeah, I just posted on, I write a column in South Florida Gay News, and I almost as soon as I send it in to them, I posted on Facebook and a couple different sites. And immediately, and this particular piece was on the truth about long-term relationships. And in it, I say, look, if you have an idea that people in long-term relationships are always available to satisfy each other's needs and always forgiving and always, never thinking about this could end, you're wrong. That we can be petty and selfish, but we stick it out because we feel that the greater good, this love that we are creating together, is more perfect and powerful than either one of us individually. And I gave a lot of examples, and I was saying to you that the response was immediate, with lots and lots of people saying, "This is my relationship. You just described it. This is it." Thank you for sharing. And what I was sharing with you is my success in life has been just telling the truth,
Yeah.
my truth. Not because sometimes people will say, well, isn't this too much information? I mean, do you really think you should be sharing so much private stuff? Has Ray seen this? And I never post without Ray looking at it. He's got to give his okay. But in my experience, what people respond to is our truth. And that's going back to yours and my hero's journey about letting your light shine.
And I think it takes enormous courage to write the truth. And I think you are my mentor in courage. Just being able to speak your story and in a way that not only reaches people, but it also isn't sort of that drive-by shooting or grenade attack on the people that you're writing about or included in your story. It's sort of very
Right.
calm, collected, and gentle, but very sort of pervious, going straight to the heart. How do you do that?
And it's about Ray and me, and not about you.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure, because I can put you in as the pronoun sometimes, and then I go through it. I change it to our or my,
Right.
because no one can argue with us telling our own truth. It's my truth to tell.
Mm-hmm.
If I write or say, you should be doing this, or you are going to have this problem, then I'm way off, because I don't know what you are going to have, and what you encounter is your business. And if you ask for my thoughts, reflections, I'm glad to give it. But my job in my mind as a writer is to reflect on my own truth. And if it resonates with you, terrific. If it doesn't,
Right.
go to another post.
Yeah.
Turn the page.
And what was one of the things that really made me sort of think about following reading your piece was, there's this everyday grind of being in a relationship. Some days are great, some days not so great. But when you sort of take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it's about the two of you coming together and creating something bigger, something more
Yeah.
special than just one person can bring together. And it's sort of I don't know if the right word is paradox, because it's an interesting paradox in what we say for everyday life, which is don't look at the outcome, focus on the everyday details. So it
Oh,
really raised
right.
that
So how do you?
paradox, yeah, where we're
Right.
like, you have to find balance between,
Right.
you know, everyday things and the bigger picture. You can't be so focused in the everyday details that you forget about the bigger picture, which would be the magic of two people coming together. yet you
Right.
can't be so focused on that where you're not even enjoying the everyday details, or you're not even present for the everyday details.
Well, that's the key, I think, Haley, is to, uh, in the everyday details, if we are present to them, they're not burdensome.
Yeah.
Walking the dog, even walking the dog in a downpour, right? So for me, if I add it to my list of things I had to do today, it can feel overwhelming. Life sucks. It's too much work. But if I'm in the walk with the dog in the rain and say, it's pouring, I'm getting soaked. The dog hates this rain. He still needs to go. You know, I could jump in a pool and get wetter if I wanted, right? So I take my glasses off because they are ridiculous to
They
try
don't
to
have
see
the
through.
windscreen wipers.
No, take them off, put them in pocket, and just walk. And walk like we normally would. Don't run, because you're not getting any drier by running, right? And then get home and you consciously towel the dog off, and he loves being toweled off. So be in his joy.
Yeah.
Uh, and then additionally, so that's the joy of being in the moment and being present to your everyday. I'm cooking now. I'm washing the dishes now. Thich Nhat Hanh would talk about, when you wash the dishes, wash the
I
dishes,
was
be
just
with
going
the
to say
dishes.
that, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's,
Be with the
he's
warm water and the soap. And
Yeah, he's one of my favorite writers and spiritual guides out there.
mm-hmm.
And one of the very early on in my journey, I read his book where he was saying that, a meditation is every moment. When you're washing the dishes, be
Mm-hmm.
thankful, be in gratitude, enjoy washing the dishes. And that for me was sort of such a key brain switch to be able to start being present in every moment, because I remembered those words and,
Mm-hmm.
just saying, what can I enjoy in this moment? If I'm washing the dishes, let me just
Right.
enjoy washing the dishes. And I now really thoroughly love washing dishes, which is really odd
Yeah.
for everybody else. I'm still working on it in terms of folding laundry and putting laundry away. Um,
Yeah.
but it is that every moment is a meditation.
If I think that, and I'm sure he said it in several books, and I've read
Yeah.
more than one, but I think it was in Pieces Every Step.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
I
think,
think I've
and that,
read every one of his books, and some of them are
yeah.
repetitive, but I
Well,
just
so
I can't get enough.
heavens to Betsy. So am I. I mean, please. Uh, but I think that's the book in which he talked about, as a child, taking 40 minutes to eat a cookie.
Yeah.
And he'd sit on his front porch and take small bites and enjoy the taste. And I think, as I down them faster, thinking about the next one that's coming in, I think, slow down. What are you eating? Ray
Yeah.
and I will say to each other during dinner, are you present to your meal? Are you tasting this? Because it's really, really good. And so don't let the plate become clean without you thinking about what you're doing. But and so two things, if I can. One is that when we give people everyday examples, it's at least for me, and it seems for you, we remember them and the lesson much better, such as washing dishes,
Yeah.
eating the cookie. So in my column or my post, when I'm specific and give specific examples, not just of anger, but of anger that he's going through every TV show and movie to see what we're going to watch, and we've been sitting here forever, and everyone at home says, oh, now I can relate to that. So if we give examples of what we're referring to, it helps. But then going back to the bigger picture, I think we pull ourselves out of the moment when we're having a really difficult time with it. And that's when it's important, I think, to get the bigger picture, right?
Right.
So somebody just wrote me, I was reading as I was waiting for our Zoom talk to start. Somebody just wrote me about the last 6 months of his life, of the life of his husband, was spent in hospitals, often with the partner in a coma. but he was there every day, and he spoke to him every day and spoke to him about love every day. And my response was, I'm very sorry that, or sad that you had to go through that, but you tasted love in a way that most people never will. And if you can pull yourself out of the memory of how difficult it was to go to the hospital and sit there, if you can pull yourself out of it and look over the 6 months and see what a loving act it was, and how the magic of the moment you had when he would open his eyes when he heard your voice. Most people don't have those examples in their life to give as testimony to the love they've experienced.
That very much fits with how I experience healing work around traumatic experiences. So, as you know, I work with energy and I see different things. What I've seen in my work with my clients is whenever there's a traumatic experience, it's almost like a pieces of a puzzle. We focus on the traumatic experience, which is just one piece of the puzzle. If you do take that sort of bigger perspective, that higher perspective, and look at the full board, look at the full puzzle, you see the beauty of that event, and you can actually see the truth of that event, that it's, the trauma is sometimes, a lot of the time, the trauma is based on our past memories, and also influenced very much about how we're supposed to feel about certain events. What other people tell us, oh, that must have been traumatic, you must feel awful, how are you coping? That creates the trauma versus the actual event. So it's a lot of the work that I do is with people is trying to find the truth, the personal truth in these events, in past lives, in traumatic experiences. Just take
and how and how reflect about how what happened in your life prepared you for this moment, right?
Yeah. So
so
I've had my share of what I consider traumatic events outside of what other people consider traumatic events. I'm also, I learned at a very early age the benefit of disassociation. So if I didn't,
what do you mean by that?
Where I
explain. Go ahead.
The way that I use disassociation, whenever I found myself an event, I would just completely go somewhere else. My body would be there, but my mind and energetically, I was traveling in the universes. So I don't feel like I actually experienced it. So it was never in my memory bank. And as I went through the transformation of finding myself and coming to the truth of who I am, I did go through therapy. I did go through a lot of PTSD, hypnosis, and learning tools on how to look at traumatic events. And it was in those events, there's this process that I went through where it was, first of all, I don't think that's true. When, I would be sitting with a therapist trying to unwind why I was having these visions, why I was feeling this way. They would point blank and say, this is what I'm seeing. And I'd be like, I don't think so. I don't remember any of that. And it was through sort of a process of hypnosis and validation from multiple helpers helping me that all saw the same thing, that I started to be like, all right, maybe there's something to this. The hypnosis was really helpful because I heard in my own words what my heart was saying. So there was anger out of that too, going straight to the victim, straight to this is unfair, this is unjust, how could this ever happen? To then growing a little bit more to asking, how did this happen? What was my role in this? And in order to be able to look at what my role is, I needed to take that step back. I needed to be able to look at the bigger picture, look at the full life cycle of not only the event, but also of me, and be able to say, right, I can see how sometimes, things that I do can absolutely trigger people. And not everybody
Mhm.
is as committed and has the time, the want, the need to look at themselves in that way. To be able to say, I can see
Mhm.
how my energies can trigger people in such a way that they're now in a state of panic, chaos, and trauma. Um, but again, I
Mhm.
only see that if I step back and be like, oh, again, not easy things. It's never an easy thing to hear. You know, you had a part to play in your own trauma, which was incredibly painful. But it does make it so much
Mhm.
easier to comprehend, to then understand, and then to heal and complete it when you look at that bigger picture.
And I mean, I'm sure that your first step is affirming their feelings.
Yeah.
It's like giving a critique, you start with the positive, all right. I affirm what you're feeling. Talk more about it. And then now let's talk, if we can, about the bigger picture. And then I think adding, we had a friend over yesterday whose husband has been diagnosed with um, a cancer that has gone into the bone, into the and
Mm,
lymph nodes, and as we were talking, uh, Ray and I were talking with this friend. I said the reality is you have a new normal, and
yeah,
helping people at some point say, okay, all past stuff doesn't matter at this moment because this is your new normal. How are you going to respond to this new normal,
absolutely.
right? Uh, no matter what your relationship was before this, or what your attitude about cancer was before, what's your new normal with this situation? How are you going to move forward? I have to do that a lot. I'm sure you in your life have to do that too. It's just say, okay, uh, you know,
I think that
it is what it
realization,
is what it is.
that this is my new normal
Mm,
is the key to moving through it now. Once
mm,
you can get to that point of, okay, this is my new normal, how do I move forward? That opens up that fan of possibilities. And I think it's
mhm,
applicable to where we find ourselves in COVID right now. It's applicable to people that are getting chronic illnesses, and it's applicable to people that are healing from their own trauma. The minute that you make that decision, this is my new normal. How do I want to function now? What is going to be my story? What is going to be my movie? You open up that fan of possibilities. And I think it's just, again,
mm,
going back to what I was saying with Thich Nhat Hanh when he wrote about making every moment a meditation. It's like that brain click that just, it doesn't
mm.
feel like there's a whole lot of work. It's just something just clicks where you're like, all right, now I can settle in and see that there is possibility here, there is opportunity here, and there is beauty here.
Okay, so let me, if I can, pick up 2 points.
Yeah.
Uh, so those of us who have worked hard, um, thinking, reflecting, reading, listening, the click that you just mentioned uh, doesn't just happen. You've worked hard at getting to a point where you are aware of the need to do the click. A minute ago, you mentioned that not everybody has the time or the opportunity to be self-reflective, right? So here's my dilemma, my question. You and I put things out there, our truths, with the hope that everybody who watches it has a positive experience and takes the information and makes it applicable so
Hmm.
that there is that click next time something comes up. But what about the people who don't have the time? What do we say about or do for or account for?
I think, we froze. Did we freeze, Brian? No. I think we just froze, so I'm going to give it a second to see if I get Brian back. Still waiting for Brian. And I think